Okay. So like I mentioned, today's activity, because we've gone over a lot of really solid, like getting a job stuff, the basics, and just kind of some general information about good things to have for getting a job outside of high school or continuing to do whatever you need to do, right, directly after high school. Since I need to reconvene with Miss Earthly and see where her class is at. For now, what I'm going to do is just kind of go over some general, like adulting, quote unquote. I don't love that term, but like things that are skills that are good to have. And I want to start by getting groceries, making meal prep lists, stuff like that. So today's activity seems a little kind of silly, I'll say. Just trust this process. It's really easy. There's no wrong answers. It's just kind of like journaling. We'll get more into that here in a second. But in order to understand how to make a good grocery list, because I learned this the hard way, right? You got to focus on specific aspects that I'll show you during this thing today. So I'm going to finish updating my budgeting spreadsheet for March for the last weekend. And then once that's finished, once you guys have finished yours as well, I'll get into a Word doc or on a sheet of paper, whichever works best for you. I'm going to do a Word doc to get into start making these grocery lists. So if you give me just a second to update my thing here. Okay. All right. I'm good. All right. So I'm going to open up a Word doc. The Zoom room is open. We are also live. We're doing it for realsies. So phones away, please. Focused up. Trust this process. I'm going to get on a Word document here. Make sure it's set to light mode so you can actually see what I'm doing. And this first assignment, or the first part of this assignment, is just making a list of home cooked or non-restaurant meals that you enjoy. Technically, they could be from restaurants, but I want you to focus on more like the food item, like chicken teriyaki or like a specific type of curry, or there's this pasta you really like, whatever. Right now, you're just making a list of foods that you would not mind eating consistently, right? Things that you won't get tired of super quickly. And even if you do get tired of them, you'll have a backup list or a bunch of other options that you can focus on here. Because buying groceries, when you're thinking about it from a meal standpoint, it helps to actually cook things that you want to eat, right? Obviously. And when you're shopping for groceries, you obviously want to, or sorry, what I was trying to say is once you're an adult, once you're buying groceries on your own, you're going to be focused on things that you actually want to eat as compared to things maybe that you were fed that you were not a big fan of, or things that you want to try experimenting with. Just right now, you're making a list of food that you like, okay? It can be as simple or as complex as you want. It can be family recipes. It can be different ways you can spice up ramen. I'm going to be thinking about that in mind. Right now, we're just making a list of things that we like. So the reason I mentioned that this assignment or this thing that we're doing today feels kind of silly is because it's just like, it's just making a list of food that you enjoy. What is the academic outcome of that? What possibly? The academic outcome is now that you're journaling and you're really examining where you want to prioritize your grocery money, because groceries are very expensive and you don't want to be wasting your time, nor your money, nor your food. I've had plenty of bags of spinach go rotten in my fridge. Okay. Don't want to do that. By journaling in this way, you have a way that you can focus more easily. And then there's a couple stages to this assignment, but this first stage is just kind of gaining focus on what you like to eat. So I'm going to do mine. I'm going to do it a little bit on the Zoom room here so you can kind of see my process. I'm just listing, like, let's do tacos / crunch wraps. These are things that I like to make or buy or recreate at home. And they're very easy. And we're just going to make that as a list item. Sure. There's also pizza. There's also, I mentioned teriyaki. like a type, right? We're just making a list of food that we like. It's going to be different for everybody. Don't feel dumb about it. That's why this thing feels a little silly. Just trust this process, okay? This is going to be everybody's list is going to be a little bit different. We are live once more. Here's the list of stuff that I'm typically eating during the week, right? My list is going to be different because I typically don't have the energy or the kitchen space to, well, that's always consistent, but I don't have the kitchen space to make a ton of extravagant meals, nor the time, nor the desire, right? I'm focusing on realistic things that I could eat consistently and have enough room for experimentation where they won't get too tiresome too fast, right? There's another one I forgot. So these are all general just kind of categories that we're thinking about here, things that I could eat consistently. And then the next step, once you finish up your list of meals or like food items that you like, I'm focusing specifically on dinners because I have a tendency to skip breakfast, which is really bad. And then typically I'm just eating like sandwiches for lunch. So it's not that deep, but right now I'm just focused on dinners because that's my main meal that I spend time cooking and spend time grocery shopping for. So once you have your list of meals that you're focusing on, the next stage is to go through and list the ingredients that you like on each of those things. So for tacos, right, I like a spinach, which is, I know, kind of sacrilegious, or like a green mix of some type. I like tomatoes. You know, this is why this thing feels a little silly, is it's kind of like, what do I like on my taco? Anyway, shredded cheese, obviously. I like a little avocado if I'm feeling crazy. You need some type of protein in there or some type of actual filling. So I like ground beef or potatoes is what I usually put in mine. We'll throw a chipotle sauce in there. What else? Onions, cilantro. Just making a little bullet point for each of the ingredients that I like specifically inside of my tacos. Obviously, we're gonna need something to put them in. I like both corn or flour, but you can also make little tostadas. That's something that you're interested in. And then you're just gonna go through and list the different aspects of these things that you appreciate, right? I like Hawaiian pizza. I also like a veggie pizza. And there's two things that, or there's ingredients on each of those that are specific to the, I also like sausage on mine. You throw a little hot honey on some Hawaiian pizza. Ooh, anyway. So right now I'm just going through and adding some more detail to these food items so that I can see how the ingredients break down. And then that's what I want you guys to do next for a little bit. You don't have to do every single one, but it will help because there's a third stage to this assignment after you list the specific fillings or ingredients or things that you like about these foods that we'll get into here in a second. Spend about 10 minutes this time, 10, 15 minutes going through your list and listing out the specific ingredients that you would need to make that at home, that you would need in the fridge or the pantry in order for that food item to happen. Does that make sense? What I'm looking for here? Okay, spend about 10, 15 minutes doing that. I'll do it in the Zoom room, but not in the recording. So you guys can see my thought process as well. Okay, cool. Get on it. So I have gone through, turn my mic back on. Mine is pretty long because I've been grocery shopping for a little bit. You guys, I mean, I don't know how much you do it, but by making this list, it allows you to break down the ingredients that you're going to be focusing on. What we do now, in order for our food to, or prevent our food from going bad and to actually incentivize you to eat the food that you make, because sometimes I get all these groceries and I'm too tired to cook and it's really tempting to not use them, right? You want to actually make this list specific to you so that you will use it. These are tools, so they're going to be different depending on each of us. But if we go through real quick, I've broken down each of these main meals into the things that I like to put on them. What I'll do now, yours does not have to be as long as mine. Mine's actually I just kind of stream of consciousness. You think about it like journaling, not really thinking about it too hard. You know, it's just going to eventually, as you think about it, it's going to come out. What you do now is go through your list of ingredients and you look for things that occur multiple times. Like I know, for example, I have tomatoes in a lot of mine and I'm going to bold that, or I'm going to underline it, or I'm going to make some type of note that tells me that this ingredient is used in multiple things. I think I actually forgot something on burgers. I did. I forgot the burger part, which is pretty important. So we're going to go ground beef on there. All right. So now I'm just going to go down the list and just look for things that are occurring frequently. Okay. So I know I use avocado in the burrito bowls later in the thing. I know I use ground beef later in my burgers. Okay. Chipotle sauce I also use in the burrito bowls. I'm using onions a lot, right? You're just going through your list now and making note of the things that you're using the most frequently. I'm doing control and then the B key to make mine bold automatically. So I know I use hot honey in a lot of my recipes. There's some more tomatoes. Onions makes another appearance, right? So now you're just going through your list of ingredients and making some type of highlight on the things called your staples. These are things that you know you will eat or you know you will use in multiple recipes before they go bad or before you need to get more. So I'm going to go through and bold the list of things that I need to focus on buying more than not, and you guys will do the same. So I'll let you know when I'm finished with that, and we got one last little kind of bow to tie this off with, and then we'll actually do some grocery like number crunching tomorrow or when you guys are in for your block day. So I'm gonna keep the Zoom room up, but I'm gonna pause the recording and just go through my list of things that I need consistently. Does everybody understand what I'm looking for here? Any questions on what I'm asking? Okay, cool. Go ahead and bold the things that you're using all the time. There we go. Okay, as a last little note here, the final part of this assignment, I've gone through and bolded all the things that are I'm calling my staples, things that I can use in multiple ingredient or multiple different recipes. I can use before they go bad and get a lot of mileage out of them before I need to buy more. Things that are going to last and keep as well. So I've gone through and bolded all of the things that I'm using most consistently. So I know what groceries I'm definitely going to need before I start thinking about the other stuff that I want. And so the last part of this assignment, or what we're kind of taking notes of today, you go all the way down to the bottom. I want you guys to make 3 meals for the next 3 days. So I am someone who unfortunately tends to skip breakfast, which is a horrible habit. You don't want to do it too much, but sometimes you're just not hungry at 6 a.m., right? I get that. So I'm only specifically focused on dinners is my main source of meal prepping. So going back and looking through my list of staples, things that I'm going to use a lot of bold ingredients on. I see breakfast sandwiches has a lot. I see burrito bowls has a lot. And in the burrito bowls direction, if we go all the way up to the top, I see that tacos / Crunchwrap / burritos also has a lot. So with that knowledge in mind, my 3 meals for the next 3 days, I'm going to be able to do tacos one night. I'll do burrito bowls another night. Bowls. And then on the last night, I'll do, what was it? Oh, breakfast sandwiches for dinner. So the process of this assignment, of this activity, is really kind of understanding where your grocery priorities lie. I always have to get a snack before I go grocery shopping because if I don't, I will shop hungry. And that is one of the easiest ways to blow an extra $50 to $100 on your grocery shopping trip because you're just thinking about the food. Oh, that looks good. Drop it in. Right? Not good. With this in mind, having a plan and having a snack beforehand, it makes it a lot easier to actually save money and actually make food that you're going to eat is the biggest thing. Things that are consistent. And there's no shame in frozen meals. I eat a lot of frozens right now because it's about all I have the energy for. So right now we're just kind of journaling things that we enjoy eating and then making just a general plan for the next 3 days of meals. We're going to start small with 3 days, then we're going to maybe go to a week, then maybe even 2 weeks. And if you go really crazy, you can prep for the month, but I can't think that far ahead. So that's the last part, is just kind of making a little list of your next 3 meals. And then we got about 10 minutes left. That'll be our day. Just taking notes on stuff. Save this because we'll turn it in tomorrow. I'll upload my PDF copy so you can see the process in the thread. But That's what we're focusing on for today. Thank you guys for listening. Finish this up before the bell.